Good morning. Last time we started to talk about Heckscher-Ohlin model, and we have explained the two main concepts of Heckscher and Ohlin model, which are factor endowment and factor intensity. And as we said, that factor endowment is related to the country, which country has more capital and which country has more labor. But instead of using the nominal values, we are going to use the relative value. So we have to calculate the capital labor ratio in country A and compare it to capital labor ratio in country B. If the ratio is greater in country A, this means that country A is capital abundant. And vice versa. While with respect to factor intensity, it's related to the industry. Production of soybeans and textile require capital and labor, so we would like to know which one of them requires more capital and which one of them requires more labor. So we have to calculate capital labor ratio for soybeans and capital labor ratio for textile and compare the two ratios together. If it's greater in soybeans, so soybeans is said to be capital intensive industry. Then we have talked about the assumptions of Heckscher-Ohlin model. Now we would like to find the general equilibrium in case of Heckscher-Ohlin model. As we said, based on the assumptions of Heckscher-Ohlin model, PPF in this case will be concave PPF, not straight line PPF. So before international trade or in case of autarky, soybeans and textile, this is for country A and this is for country B. From the shape of PPF curves, we can realize that country A has an advantage in the production of soybeans and country B has an advantage in the production of textile. Before international trade, general equilibrium will be achieved when PPF is tangent to the price line to CIC. So in this case, general equilibrium will be achieved when slope of price line, which is the relative price, is equivalent to slope of PPF, which is equivalent to slope of CIC. This is before international trade and specialization. The main difference between Heckscher-Ohlin and the classical trade model is that in case of Heckscher-Ohlin, there is incomplete specialization, while in case of classical model, there is a complete specialization, which means in case of Heckscher-Ohlin, both countries are going to produce soybeans and textile, but each country will increase production of the commodity in which it has a comparative advantage. So, after international trade, we have to separate the production decision from the consumption decision. So with respect to production, as we said in assumption number 5, profit maximization will be achieved when slope of PPF equals slope of price line. So this is point of production. So this is, say, OU is the quantity produced of soybeans in country A. And OV is the quantity produced of textile in country A. While with respect to consumption, we can consume more or less than the quantity produced, as we are going to trade with the rest of the world. So consumption, or the point of maximum satisfaction, will be achieved when CIC is tangent to price line. So this is point of consumption. So point A is point of production and point B is point of consumption. So quantity OL is the quantity consumed of soybeans in country A. And quantity OX is the quantity consumed of textile in country A. So this means that country A produces OU of soybeans and consumes OL of soybeans. So LU is a surplus or excess supply of soybeans in country A. So country A can export this area. While with respect to textile, country A is going to produce OV and consume OX. So there is a shortage of the area VX that can be satisfied from importing from abroad. So triangle ABC is triangle of trade, where AC is the country's export of soybeans and BC is the country's imports of textile, and AB is the TOT or the international trade price of the commodity. So this is triangle of trade. We can do the same for country B. This is point of production. And point of consumption will be achieved at the point of tangency of CIC to the price line. So this is the quantity consumed of soybeans, and this is the quantity produced of soybeans. So there is a shortage of this area that would be fulfilled from imports from abroad. So this is imports of the country. With respect to textile, this is total production of textile, and this is total consumption of textile. So we have excess production or excess supply by this area that can be exported to other countries. So this is export. So the area of this triangle will be triangle of trade. So what are the main differences between classical trade theory and Heckscher-Ohlin model? Number one, as we said that in case of Heckscher-Ohlin model, each country will produce soybeans and textile, but increase production of the commodity in which it has an advantage. So this means that the specialization in case of Heckscher-Ohlin model is incomplete specialization. And actually this is more realistic. While in case of the classical model, country A will produce, say for example, soybeans and produce no textile at all. So this is complete specialization. Point number two, autarky price. Autarky price is price before international trade. Autarky price in case of Heckscher-Ohlin model is determined by demand and supply. While in case of classical model, it's determined by supply alone. And now we have to explain why, just after adding one more difference, which is reciprocal demand or TOT or international trade price is determined in case of Heckscher-Ohlin model based on demand and supply, while in case of classical model, it's determined by the demand alone. So let's start with the classical trade model. Let's focus on only one market, which is the market for soybeans. This is the price and the quantities of soybeans in the two countries A and B. In case of classical trade model, supply curve will be parallel to x-axis up to the point of maximum production or complete specialization. After this point, whatever the price level, the quantity is constant, and this is the maximum level of production that can be produced. So this is national supply curve of soybeans in country A, national supply curve of soybeans in country B. While with respect to demand, it's negatively sloped demand curve. National demand curve of soybeans in country A, national demand curve of soybeans in country B. Before international trade, point of intersection is point of equilibrium, which determine the autarky price, which is BA in country A and BB in country B. This is price before international trade. After specialization, from these figures, we can realize that country A has an advantage in the production of soybeans as the price in country A is lower than price in country B. So country A will specialize in the production of soybeans and country B will not specialize in its production. Actually, it's going to specialize in the production of textile. So we have new higher price level, and as we said before, the TOT is greater than the autarky price in country A or the exporting country and less than the autarky price in the importing country. So TOT will be higher than the autarky price of the countries that will specialize in the production of soybeans and lower than the autarky price, the country that will import soybeans. So B1A is the quantity demanded of soybeans in country A. B1B is the quantity produced or supplied of soybeans in country A. So this is demand, and this area is supply. So AB is excess supply. This excess supply will be exported to the other country. In country B, as we can realize that there is no supply curve, as country B will specialize in the production of textile and they produce no soybeans. But they are going to consume B1C. This is consumption of soybeans or demand for soybeans in country B. and they are not going to produce it. So this is equivalent to imports of soybeans in country B. So autarky price is determined based on demand and supply, based on supply curve. Supply curve alone. As this is the demand curve, price is constant. If you have any demand curve in this area, price is constant. So the only thing or the only factor that affects the price of soybeans in country A is the change in the supply, not a change in the demand curve. So this is before international trade. But after international trade and after specialization, this is the production level. So the only factor that will determine B1 is the demand curve, the location of the demand curve along these sides. So this is why we said that autarky price is determined by supply alone and reciprocal demand, or international trade price is determined by demand alone. What about Heckscher-Ohlin model? In case of Heckscher-Ohlin, this is quantity, price. Supply curve is positively sloped, as usual. And demand curve is negatively sloped, as usual. The same for country B. So in this case, point of intersection of demand and supply will affect the autarky price in country A and autarky price in country B. So both of them, demand and supply, determine the autarky price. We can realize from the graph that autarky price in country A is lower than autarky price in country B. So country A will specialize in the production of soybeans. As a result, we have a new international trade price, which is higher than the autarky price in country A and lower than the autarky price in country B. This is B1 or international trade price. Country A will produce B1B and consume B1A. So AB is excess supply or export of country A. As we said, there is no complete specialization. So country B will produce B1C of soybeans and consume B1D of soybeans. So CD is a shortage in these markets or imports of country B. So international trade price in case of Heckscher-Ohlin is determined by demand and supply forces, and also autarky price is determined by demand and supply forces. These are the main differences between Heckscher-Ohlin model and classical trade model. This is the end of our lecture today. Thank you and see you next week.